Can you create a free fertilizer factory in your backyard by burying your own kitchen waste, which is basically for free, and make plants grow like crazy? Are there any problems associated around it? Who thinks this is a bad thing? Who thinks it's a great thing? How can we make this even better? And how can I break this down so you can learn how to save money at home and turn your kitchen scraps into a free fertilizer? Now, this is Mark from Self Sufficient Me. Great guy, great channel. Highly recommend that you go and check it out. But firstly, let's get into this video. I'm going to break it all down and help you create and grow a better garden. I'm a horticulturist from Australia and in organic gardening and worm farming. And my name's Marty Ware. And yeah, I run the Marty Garden channel if you haven't seen me before. All right, let's get into it, as Mark says.
I'm going to show you what happens when you bury kitchen scraps in the garden. We'll dig down and find out how these scraps are going after being buried for a period. Most of the time when people mention kitchen scraps and gardening, they think of compost piles, compost bins / tumblers, worm farms or chickens, and they're all good. But many people don't realise the other eco-friendly way to recycle your kitchen scraps. And it could be the easiest method of them all, depending on your situation, and that is to simply bury them directly into the garden.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, and it does work. I've experimented in this many times, and I know a lot of you watching this have also done this and learnt this from watching Mark on his channel, and have learnt a lot from this guy. Now, the Italians have been doing this for a long time, growing tomatoes and different types of food crops. And my grandfather used to do it, and I've tried it, and it works absolutely brilliant. Now, there are some people that argue against the point, and we'll get into that later on further down the line, and also how I believe you can improve this and do it even better, because there are some common problems with it, and I've got some solutions to solve that. Yeah, so let's keep getting into the video.
My grandparents buried their kitchen scraps in the garden, just like I'm doing now, and it used to be a really popular thing back 30 to 40 years ago because, you know, it was practical. It saved on garbage space, but more importantly, it was a no-cost way to help to enrich the garden beds for better crops, since just about every backyard back then had a vegetable garden. How does this process work though? And honestly, haven't we moved on to better methods of recycling kitchen waste? Second question first. As I stated earlier, there are other ways such as compost piles, worm farms, or feeding to the chooks. However, direct bury circumvents them all, like a shortcut, or cutting out the middleman by turning your whole garden into a recycling area. Whilst I reckon the direct bury method is an excellent way to recycle, there are some things that you should be aware of. You should bury the scraps down at least 20 to 40 centimetres so that there's enough soil on top for subsequent vegetables to grow. You must be careful not to bury too much kitchen waste in the one garden bed, or you'll end up overwhelming that area or that bed, and turn it into a compost pile, and then the plants won't grow well at all because of the decomposing matter. And you do need a fair-sized garden, or you might quickly run out of space, since kitchen scraps can take weeks to months to properly break down. And
yeah, so it's a good point, but there are faster ways to do it. And when you're adding an underground worm farm into the system, you're actually solving a lot of these problems. So let's keep going.
Get eaten by worms, other small animals, or microbes. Speaking of breaking down, let's get back to the first question, and that is, how does this process work? Well, think of your garden as a huge worm farm. And when you bury your kitchen scraps somewhere in your vegetable patch, you're feeding the worms. The worms don't just eat and break down the scraps into matter that can be absorbed by the plants. They also produce their own waste through castings, worm poop, and worm juice, worm pee, or digestive liquid. And these elements are excellent for providing the nutrients your plants need to thrive. You're basically growing your plants on top of a worm farm.
All right, so how can we actually make this system much better? Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I teach a lot about worm farming, and I do a lot of underground worm farming. And the underground permaculture worm farm system works absolutely brilliant in this idea. You're basically burying kitchen scraps into a garden, but it's decomposing in there and getting eaten up by the worms. You've got a more controlled environment, and so you can add carbon to it, you can turn it over, you can feed it, you can watch it, you can cover it over with a good lid, because they have good lids on them. And you can also stop the vermin and everything getting in, the dogs digging it up wherever you are. Maybe in Australia you've got bandicoots and all different types of things. I don't know what animals you've got around, but I know there's animals that go for these types of things, and we've got to be very careful. So here we have an underground worm farm. These were made by Subpod. Unfortunately, these guys are gone out of business, but you can make your own DIY ones. And I really like also just using old worm farms that you can buy just around the place, or people are throwing them out, pick them up at the tip, or just make your own. And you need to have lots of holes. These don't have a these have a bottom in them. I like to have the bottom open, or holes coming up through here, and a good closed lid, airflow on the top, and your plants growing on the side. And the roots will actually grow into the sides and feed into there as well. And the worms are coming in and out of this system. Now, a lot of the older ones, they're too small. They use pipes and things. They don't have a lot of surface area. And so the more surface area you have, the more compost worms you're going to have, because they feed along the top of the part of here, and you will get a more productive worm farm. Now, the pipes work, but more surface area, a better system. And so this improves on what Mark was talking about in creating your own fertilizer factory. So what this does is, as the worms are moving in and out of here, they're spreading their castings, moving around the good biology, and really making a garden much more productive. Now, I've got a few videos called What Happens When, and have a look at this one. I'll leave a link in the description, and also around a card somewhere, and you can have a look at what happens to the cucumber when it grows out of a worm farm. That's pretty exciting. Now, we'll just get back to the end of the video now, and I will break this down a little bit further. Okay, so there it is. We're just going to leave that beside it here. I just want to thank Mark for making all these amazing content. If you don't know Mark from Self Sufficient Me, check out his channel. I'll leave a link down in the description down below. You can learn a lot from him, and he's very well known around the globe. If you've learned a lot from Mark and you love his channel, let me know in the comments box down below, and we will keep creating really cool content here on Marty's Garden, help you get educated. I'll be out in the garden from time to time, as well as putting these videos together for you guys, and we're going to help you grow an amazing organic garden at home, just like nature intended. Have a great day, happy gardening, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.